I'm Gail Bruce. I have found this product that I cannot believe exists. I was so excited when I discovered it. It's by Bright, and it's called BEACON40. This is one of the most exciting breakthroughs for me. My father had Alzheimer's. I'm at high risk for it. And this is the first time I have found anything that could possibly help me to retain my memory a little bit longer, be sharper, more focused, and directed towards what I am trying to move into the future. And I am so grateful for Bright, and I'm so grateful for Terry Moore and the team at Bright for coming up with BEACON40. Thank you. And I want you to meet Terry Moore.
Hi.
And Terry is going to tell us a little bit about Bright and light therapy.
Light therapy, or photobiomodulation, as it's sometimes known, is a hot topic in science and in medicine. It has become increasingly clear that so much of our biology can be affected by light. The clearest example that I think everyone has heard of, and that is certainly accepted now, is seasonal affective disorder, SAD as it's known. And one can now buy lamps to use during parts of the day or parts of the year to prevent the kind of effects that the change of seasons has on some people. That's one example of photobiomodulation or light therapy. And that's one that I think everybody's probably heard of.
How did you apply this to what you were doing? I mean, I'm very interested in how you got involved in it.
Well, here's my story. I'm married to the great love of my life, who is one of the, she's one of the smartest people I've ever met, and I think by all standards is a genius. And we were having a very happy life together until about 7 years ago, when she started getting forgetful. And we both knew that there was something going on. And finally, the diagnosis was that she had Alzheimer's, which hit us like a ton of bricks. So I did what I think is probably typical of most people in that position. I threw myself into the research and the literature to see what I could learn. I have a pretty good general science background, so I was in my element going through all of this research and literature and articles and so forth. But what I learned in fairly short time was that there was nothing out there. There is no cure, and there are many, many failed drug trials. So the world is fairly bleak for those who are facing diseases that affect their cognitive wellness. But I did find research at a major university where they were using photobiomodulation, in this case 40 hertz light, to treat subject animals, in this case, that were having memory problems. And the results were published in scientific journals were so encouraging that I thought, well, you know, this flashing light, it's not harmful, it's not invasive, and it's not dangerous. So I hired an engineer to build me one. And it came in the form of 3 hockey puck size units that I stuck around my wife's television and turned them on and told the caregivers, just leave them on. And she didn't mind, and they didn't mind. And I went on a little trip for about a week, and I came back, and the first thing the care staff wanted to tell me is how much better Lynn was. And then I spoke to her doctor, who said, you know, these things are cyclical. There are up cycles and down cycles, but she's on an uptick now. So at that point, I told the doctor, and I told my friends, and I told some other people what I had done, and they all said the same thing and in approximately the same words. And the words were, can you get me one?
So where are you with the product? Because I have one right here that I
Yes.
want to show everybody.
Yes.
It's unplugged, but it is absolutely amazing. I keep it by my desk all the time. And I turn it on when I come in the morning, and it does go off automatically eventually. but it's an incredible product. So how did you do this? The doctors weren't doing anything about this, nothing?
Data that are available are really very clear that an outside stimulus, in this case flashing light at a particular flashing rate or frequency, will prompt the brain to get back into what it had as a normal rhythm. The brain, as you probably know, has a number of different brain waves. They're given Greek letters. Often we hear people who meditate are trying to get into an alpha state. But there's another frequency called gamma, which is 40 flashes a second, 40 hertz as it's called. And that brain frequency is consistent with attention and memory and focus. And by prompting the brain with an outside stimulus, like 40 hertz light, which is what the BEACON40 does, the brain will get back into its normal frequency and get back to being healthy. The number one thing we hear from our customers, well, the feedback we get are typically three things. I'm sleeping better, I'm more focused, and my memory's better. Now, those are people who are using it for themselves. I think we have a lot of customers who are buying it for a family member.
So I really would love to encourage younger people to go for it too.
I think there are a number of things we can do to protect our cognitive health. And there are really four of them I'd like to suggest that I think are well known. One is a healthy diet. And generally a heart healthy diet, which I think most people know, is also a brain healthy diet.
That's very true.
Exercise is important, and mental stimulation is important. Usually the kind of mental stimulation that is different from one's ordinary track. So it might be something like learning a language or music or dance or something that involves a different part of the brain than we're used to using. And then 40 hertz light, which is consistent with focus and memory and attention. Part of the problem with the brain seems to be the buildup of plaque. A lot of discussion about where that comes from and how important it is in cognitive function. But there is a buildup of plaque. We fight plaque elsewhere. We fight plaque on our teeth by brushing our teeth. We fight plaque in our arteries by having the right kind of diet. And why not fight plaque in our brain with 40 hertz light?
Oh, I'm very excited. So how do you see this going forward? I mean, I know you've just started Bright, and BEACON40 is your first product coming out of Bright, I believe, right? So how do you see moving BEACON40 and Bright into the future?
Well, I think it is part of a healthy lifestyle because we do other things that make us healthy, like eat well and exercise. And with all of the information we now have about photobiomodulation and 40 hertz light, I can see it being everywhere. It may first appear in hospitals and clinics, but then schools and shopping malls and eventually home. I have it on my desk 24/7.
I was lucky enough to watch 2 of your TED Talks,
Oh.
and they were absolutely wonderful. I loved them.
Thank you.
One is how to tie your shoes, and everybody please look at it because it is so much fun. And the other one was about why X is the unknown factor, and that was fascinating. I love that. But have you approached Ted about this? Because we need to get this really out into the world. I think this is very important.
Actually, one of the scientists who has been working on this for some time, Li Wei Sai from MIT, did give a TED Talk on this topic.
Well, Terry, I am so delighted to meet you, and I could go on and on and on for days. Is there any other thing that you would like to let our audience know about?
And in dealing with my wife's condition, I realized very quickly that there were a lot of people in my position where we have to deal with things now, and we can't wait 10 or 20 years for there to finally be an answer about what causes and how to cure these diseases. So that's why I created the BEACON40, which is a consumer product. It's a wellness device. It doesn't require a prescription. It's based on scientific research, which is readily available, and it's affordable. And that was my objective, because there are so many people in the very position I was in, where we have to deal with things now. And there are no cures, but this is, as we say, a flicker of hope.
Now, this man came out of retirement to do this, I want you all to know. And I think he's an incredible human being. And I am so delighted you've been with us today. Thank you, thank you.
Gail, thank you so much. I did come out of a retirement, but I'm now on a mission, and it's about brain health.
Well, I'll do everything I can to help you.
Thank you, Gail. Thank you.
Very much.